everyone. I am Eric D'Souza, and joining me today for Canadians Crime Writers Canada's podcast is Jim McDonald. Hi, Jim. How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me here.
Well, it's a pleasure having you. You are part of our journey this year when we're trying to interview everyone or every Crime Members of Canada member who has been shortlisted for an Awards of Excellence. So, Jim has been a finalist for the prestigious Crime Writers of Canada's Best Crime First Novel, sponsored by Melody Campbell with a prize of $1,000 for his noir psychological thriller Altered Boy, available on Amazon Kindle. The winner will be announced May 30th. Also on Kindle is his second book, Smash Place, a collection of 32 short stories. And then coming in 2026, his historical novel, Counterculture Revolution, set in 1970s, is about the anti-war activists group the Weathermen. Alter Boy is a featured novel for the Humanist Canada Book Club online meeting on June 3rd of 2025. So if you're listening to that before that, you can take part in it, and Jim will be in attendance to answer questions. In addition, Jim's short story, Ticket Out, is in the anthology Midnight Schemers and Daydream Believers, 22 stories of mystery and suspense, edited by Judy Penz Sheluk, to be released on June 18th of 2025. Jim, that's the bio you sent me to read, and I was happy to read it, but I
Right?
was also on your website, and I learned a lot more about you. So as you were saying, this is sort of your literary past or your literary
Yeah.
life. But
Yeah.
you have a lot of experience in journalism, theater, and film. So can you tell us about some other ventures that you've done?
I started writing when I was in high school. I think that's notable. Our school uh, put an article in the Windsor Star every Thursday, and I was the kid from my school who wrote that. The best thing I did was that the great jazz art musician Louis Armstrong was visiting Windsor and playing a club there, and I got to, with other students, got to interview him. So that was great. He and I wrote about it, and that was in the newspaper, as well as all the other kind of news like sports and so on and so forth. I also wrote sports for the school newspaper, and you know uh, that's where it all started, that kind of thing. And I got the itch that I could actually maybe write something, uh, and went on from there. And I played in rock and roll bands. I was a drummer, and I went to Vancouver and played in bands there. And I went to Victoria and played in bands there. And while in Victoria, there's a magazine there called Monday Magazine. I approached them and said, "Well, I'm a musician. I could write music articles for you." And the owner, the manager of the magazine said, "Sure." So I wrote. My first one was of street musicians, and then I would travel to Vancouver mostly, and I wrote articles about Frank Zappa, the Bee Gees, uh, and others, and they were published. So that was fun to do. And then I moved back to Toronto and got involved with. I was still playing drums and playing in bands, but we got involved with. We backed up this comedy group, just doing sound effects and music, little background music kind of stuff in Toronto. And I got involved with the lady in the comedy group, and we formed it. And she asked me to join their group, so I was doing comedy for a while, stand-up comedy, the kind of the straight man who didn't get the jokes, but who would react to things and go, "Oh no, that's that kind of thing." So that was fun, and I was writing comedy at that time too. And as much as I could, I would take courses at Ryerson or U of T, night courses on writing. Took courses on writing humor, and I met a lot of great people who are my friends to this day uh, in that humor writing course. And the person who was leading that course, Brian Shine, had written for National Lampoon magazine, so he was a pretty cool guy. And then I took a nice U of T short story writing course where I met a beautiful lady who became my wife, and we've been together now for 37 years, and we have two beautiful daughters. So that was that short story writing course was good in two ways. It helped me learn short stories, and it gave me my soulmate. Uh, and just kept writing things, and I I oh, and the humor group had a writing night. And once a month. We would meet at after the course was over. Once a month, we would meet at a man's house. He was a teacher, a librarian, and there were five, six, seven, sometimes eight of us there, and we would read every time. There's a writing group, and that's when I started writing a lot of humor. But then it turned into stories of my youth as a gang member, criminal youth kind of kid, which is that's how Altered Boy came about. And when I grew up in Windsor, and I was involved with gangs, and we with a gang, and we did you know criminal things like breaking into stores and stealing cars and getting in fights and drinking and that kind of thing. So that's where the three kids from Altered Boy come from. That gang in Windsor, and I started writing for that writing group. I veered away from comedy and started writing that kind of stuff. And they were all short stories. So one short story led to another, and I thought, wait a minute here, I think I might have a novel. And but I wanted to make the focus of the novel clergy abuse, which is a very important topic in our world today. And so I had a rogue priest, I want to call him, rather than a pedophile priest, but that's what he was. And these three kids, which are a microcosm of the gang I was in, and they clash because the kids are tough, and the priest is wily and tough, and they clash. And sometimes when I'm giving a talk, I say, and in quotes, chaos ensues. But so I maybe that helps. I came to Toronto in 1970 to go to teachers college at Bloor and Spadina, and I became a mathematics teacher, and I taught high school in Etobicoke for a couple of years, and then I moved out to Vancouver. But when I got back to Toronto, uh, I got back into teaching, and I taught night school and so on, and went back to teaching math in high school again, and then ventured off into my own business, a tutoring service that started in about 1988, 1989. I started a tutoring service, and I still do it to this day. I have math students that I see online all the time, and I love math. I might even like it more than writing. I love writing, but it's so hard. But math, the student will give me some problems, and I'll sit down and with my coffee and my paper, and I will work that problem and try to figure it out. It's actually fun to do. So what else do I do? I'm a member of Humanist Canada, which is a secular organization, and I spend a lot of time promoting secularism with them. Uh, I because of my writing background, I go through essays for people who want to become an officiant, and that's to marry people. By the way, I am an officiant. I've been a person of many interests since I was a little kid, and so I'm also an officiant, and I'm allowed to marry people. In fact, I have a wedding this Saturday, and the Saturday after, on the 24th, I have two weddings. So that interests me too, to promote secularism by marrying people outside of the church, because 35% of Canada is non-religious. So I promote that as well. I'm run out of breath.
Well, that was a long answer. You ended up answering some of the questions I was planning on asking you. But let's go here. I've read the beginning of your book, and
Mhm.
I don't want to say protagonists because I can tell who the protagonists are, but I don't. But another word that sometimes people use instead is good guys. Who are the good guys? Because I haven't found one yet. Do you see a good guy in your
I
story?
know. I've written. I was just in the Boney Blythe conference on Friday, just a few days ago, and our topic was noir literature, dark literature, and what is noir? I have notes here, but I'll just do it from the top of my head. Uh, no one is moral in noir literature. Not one person. There's no happy ending. Everyone is flawed. And without knowing the definition of noir, I wrote this, and it took me. I started this book, as I said, back in the '80s as short stories, but I got seriously into it about 15 years ago, starting to write this book, and I finished it about 6 years ago. Uh, and Noir, I had no idea what noir was when I started writing that book. But now that I look at the definition and look at my book, I see that obviously the priest is, you know, is the villain. And then the three kids, Shorty is a kid who goes to Detroit and Windsor and preys on uh, needy gay men for money, and Mickey wants to get into he wants to get into that kind of, you could call it work, I suppose, um, for money because he's poor, and he says, "What you get? Like, say it was today, what you get $100 to do this? Well, I'm in, that kind of stuff." Because he's like 12 or 13 at the time, and Joey has been that's the third kid in the group. He's been he was hurt as a child. He was attacked by a dog, and he's a psychological mess. He's sadistic. He will, if somebody looks at him the wrong way, he will he will want to knife them. So these are tough kids. This is a tough, gritty novel. It's like it's a noir novel. Uh, and then there's uh, uh, Damon is his name. He rents an apartment, and there's Johanna is the manager of the apartment building, and she's a very slight, like 4 feet 11 woman, and he likes her because she reminds him of a little girl, but she does have a woman's body, and she likes him. Oh, he poses as a liquor salesman to get this apartment, which he plans on bringing kids to, uh, teenagers, and she falls in love with him. So I think of anybody in the book, Johanna is the nicest person. She has a sense of humor. She takes philosophy classes in Detroit at Wayne State University, and through that idea of philosophy classes, I'm able to inject some philosophy of secularism versus religion, which is one of my themes in general. And Johanna likes him, loves him. No, she likes him, but and she's a nice person. And then there's the lady who's the caretaker of the church, and she's a flawed person too, because she loved the priest before him, but that priest uh, met a woman and got married. So there's another flawed character, and the Monsignor in the church, his superior, is dying of cancer, and he kind of has a deathbed confession that he regrets all the things he said to kids about you know God and heaven and hell being real. He regrets all that. He knew it wasn't true, but he told them anyway. So everybody except Johanna is flawed. So that's a noir novel. That's how, if you think of Postman Always Rings Twice, or Double Indemnity, all those people, nobody ends up. There's never a happy ending, and there are many books and novels like that. You might not think they're noir, but think about it next time. Like what are these people about? The Godfather. There's no happy ending there. Goodfellas. There's no happy ending there. They're a bunch of crooks and criminals, but we love them. We love those kinds of books of crooks and criminals, and how they outwit the cops, and how they double cross each other and so on and so forth. Because for 99% of the people in the world, that's not their life. They look at these kinds of stories, and it's exciting for them to read that kind of stuff and to see those kinds of movies. And I've run out of breath on that answer.
I think we're only gonna have time for one more question. I want to say
Okay.
though, as a comment, flawed is an understatement. If you're saying they're flawed characters, that is an understatement. I've read the beginning, and they're more than just flawed.
Yeah. Yeah. They're corrupt. There's the word. They're corrupt characters.
Well, let's talk about the process. So you said you took a long time to write this book. It is
Mhm.
self-published, and I am giving kudos to. It is amazing how many people self-published and were nominated this time. There's six that I can count of, and I keep on finding more. Part of the secret
Mhm.
of being a successful self-published author is fooling the general public into not realizing it's self-published because in some ways it's tarnished and making a product that looks like um, it came from one of the major bookstores or one of the major publishers. Yours does. Yours beautifully published. I had to look it up to be sure or not. So, who helped you do this, or did you do it all yourself? The cover is beautiful. That's the first clue. Like a lot of times when a cover it looks shady or cheap, you could all add self-published for sure.
Yeah.
I would never
Yeah.
guess your book was self-published from your cover. It's beautiful. So,
Yeah.
what is your team? Did you do it all on your own? How'd you get this book done?
First, I'm a perfectionist. So if it's not perfect, it's not going anywhere. I probably went through 10. I designed everything in my book. I designed the cover. I designed the spine, the back. I designed the text inside, which the printers call the guts. And I did everything because that's the kind of person I am. If you want it done right, do it yourself, but you have to have the skills to do it, and I do. I know what looks good. I'm able. I bought the Affinity Publishing app, and it has Affinity Publishing, Affinity Photo, and before that, I was using a different program, Adobe's program. But Affinity is much easier, and I took a year off of writing to learn how to publish, to learn all this stuff, and that's I think I mentioned before early in the interview, I do a lot of things and I'm interested in a lot of things. And I try to, if I'm interested in them, then I throw myself into it. I go, this is worthwhile. This is interesting. I love it. And I love publishing. And I have published another book, a book of poetry. And right now I'm working on another book that I want to publish. So, which is quickly, it's my wife's father was worked in Africa as a missionary teacher, and he has all these notes. He's 95 now, and I took all his notes and he wrote a lot of short stories about that. They're all true though, and I'm putting them all together, and I'm going to make a book out of that as well. People who helped me do this were my son. He's Dylan. Uh, we grew up together, and he's also my best friend. My son, and we grew up together. And he would read uh, uh, every week. I'd write new stuff, and I would bring it to his place, and we'd have dinner and a few beers, and he would read out what I'd written so that I could hear it. Uh, as Orwell says, your writing needs euphony. It has to sound good when read out loud. And so Dylan would read it out to me, and I would listen to it, and I'd go, "Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good. That sounds good." So he helped me a lot, my son. And my wife, if I was worried about maybe a plot point, that's the woman I met at the short story writing course. And I'd say, what do you think of this? Where should this go?" So she would go, well, and she always had ideas. She would never go, let me think about it. She always came out with two or three really good ideas. And many times I would take her ideas, and sometimes, uh, most of the time, her ideas were very good. And my cousin Joseph Salina is a well-respected, internationally respected uh, artist. He's done many magazine covers, including Sports Illustrated, Maclean's, uh, and we grew up together. Joseph and I are the same age. When we were little kids, he would play by drawing. That's how we played when we were like 6 years old and 7. He would draw things, and it might be a soldier with a cannon or something or a gun, and he'd say, "Okay, let's play." And I'd have to emulate him and draw something on the other side, and then like have a cannon shot coming across, and then having an explosion. And lately, he said, you were best at explosions. The way you drew explosions, that was really good. So he's a great guy, and anytime I want some art advice, I go to him. So he helped me with the font of the title. I don't remember what I had before, but he said, "Why don't you use this one here?" And I went, "Sure." I don't even question him. And I never say, "Well, I'll think about it." I always go, "Yes, sir," whatever he says to me. And he said maybe you can block the front cover a bit. And that photograph, by the way, I took. I was down in Windsor, and I have a cousin who's also an author, and he was having a book launch, and I was visiting Windsor. I went through Willisted Park, the park that I grew up in, and then much of the story is based in Willisted Park, which is named after Willis Walker, who's the son of Hiram Walker, who's the great liquor magnate that Hiram Walker's is in Windsor. And I took a lot of pictures, and luckily this picture, it was snowing. And so when I looked at it later, I saw the snow coming down and all the lights and everything. I thought, this is going to be the cover of my book. And the guy in the cover sitting on the bench with like all depressed, that could be the priest, it could be one of the kids, doesn't matter. I took that picture here at my house in Mississauga, out on the street underneath the street lights, and put it into that cover because the original picture just had an empty bench. And I said to my wife, Lynn, do you see something missing in here? And she says, "Well, you got an empty bench there." I said, "Exactly. It needs a person on it." So that picture of the depressed guy on the cover is also my idea, and I put it in there with my Affinity photo publishing app. Who else helped me? I had the Crime Writers of Canada actually about 10 years ago had a mentor program, and I sent most of my book to this mentor, and he was a writer, but his name was McCormick or something. I'm sorry, it was 10 years ago, and he writes sports books, like just nonfiction book about the Maple Leafs or the history of hockey or something like that. But he did write one crime novel based on a hockey team, and I'm sorry, I didn't know I was going to be asked this question, or I would have gotten his name. So I sent him chapter after chapter, and he made comments and sent them back. So he helped me too to write the book, for comments. But the book itself is 99% me, right from beginning to end. I'm a bit of an artist as well as a writer, and I've learned the technical part of publishing. Some people say, "Yeah, I want to publish my book." Well, yeah, learn how to publish first. You can't just do it like that. You have to study. And I'm a good, because I'm a teacher, I can study, I can learn. I know how to self learn. So I've run out of breath on that question.
As you're talking, we do have a member named Jonathan McCormick. Is that ringing a bell?
Yeah. If he writes sports, novels, sports books, that would be him. I'm sorry. As I said, it was mixed something, but I don't remember what it was.
Either way, I know we're working hard to bring back that mentorship program, and I hope we do, because obviously it helps.
Yeah, and I sent this book into the unpublished novel of Crime Writers of Canada, 10, 9, 8. I think I sent it 3 years in a row, but it never got picked up. But then I guess I must have done something right eventually, because then, and I was really, really over the moon when I when I opened up, my laptop and saw that I'd been nominated. I put my head down and cried. I was just so touched to be thought that somebody thought that what I had written was good. That means a lot.
If you're nominated, that means three people, but you were good.
Yeah, great. Well, good. Three people. I mean that, and and then after a few days, I thought, good. Somebody finally,
Um,
realized, because I think it's fantastic. I open it at random sometimes and start reading, and I forget that I wrote it.
actually, I would push that now to four people because I'm enjoying the book.
Oh, good.
It's very well done.
And everyone who's read it so far is I've not had any bad things. If well, we'll see. More and more people will start to read it. We'll see what happens.
I tell everyone I don't know who won. So myself and you, we're gonna wait till May 30th. I could wish you the best of luck. Um,
Yeah.
and
Thanks, Eric. I
thanks for taking
appreciate
time
that.
to put on this interview. Thank you.
Okay. Wow. Thanks, Eric, for having me. And this was great. I've had a lot of fun.